So, thank you. Very honored to be here today. So the title of my presentation is "A Picture Says 1,000 Words." I'm sure all of you have undertaken a task in your GIS career where you get asked to do something, you look at it, you think, piece of cake, I'll have this done in 3 hours. And then you get 3 hours in and you look like the little guy on the left there, and you've said 1,000 words that nobody else, you don't want anybody else to hear. And that's what happened here with this task that we were undertaking in Seneca. So that's just really quickly what I'm going to cover today. I'm sure you've all heard about Seneca Resources. We're the exploration and production arm of National Fuel Gas. We're headquartered in Houston. We have an office in Pittsburgh and Brookville. And we have some offices in California. We have approximately 350 GIS users that basically all go through Portal, and we have over 1,000 services that we push out to all our users to help them in their day-to-day work at Seneca. So we wanted to convert some of our data we have that was in 2D feature classes into 3D feature classes to try to take advantage of a lot of the new 3D functionality that Esri has come out with. We want to create some 3D feature services. We're collecting a lot of high accuracy, as-built survey data that we have been storing in 2D format. We have started a drone program at Seneca where we're collecting a lot of base map, the DEMs, the aerial photography, and we want to have all this data be able to be pushed out to all of our workers. So I added a little video of a drone test we had just because the rest of this talk is going to be pretty boring, and I thought I would show this just to kind of make things a little more interesting. So this was being tested at one of our well pads. It's a 3DR drone. It has a little camera hanging underneath it, and it works very well. Like they said, for very small sites. You can hear the wind blowing on that day. We had 20 to 40 mile an hour wind gusts, and that drone actually worked very well in the wind. We had one little incident where it got hit with a gust and it thought it was running out of battery power because the engine had to really, pull a lot of power to stay where it wanted to. Came back home, it was fine. So again, we had our GPS data. We had two data sets mostly that we were wanting to convert our GPS collected data, and these were in Pennsylvania and New York, and we had approximately, 20 to 25 feature classes in each of these data sets. So we had, buildings and meters, and all the standard stuff you collect when you do your as-built. So the ticket came through our GIS help desk. I got it on my desk, and I thought, this is really not going to be hard at all. Just create a 3D feature class, and I'll put the data in it, be done. Load the, assign the Z values. And then I realized all this data had attachments. And when you created the new data set, you got a brand new global ID, and none of it related back to the attachment table. So how are you going to get all these attachments? We had over approximately 900 attachments in the one data set. So I wasn't going to sit there and manually open the attachment manager and reassign them all. So that's where another 1,000 words probably came flying out of my office at that point. And so we had to figure out a way to get around this. So we did a little research. I started looking online. I found a script. I apologize, I didn't put a copy of the script in here. I should have. But that's the website, the link to where the script is, which basically will iterate through a feature class, and it will export out all of your attachments that are in there and throw them into a folder. It will create a file name. It will pull the file name of the JPEG, the PDF, whatever you have attached, doesn't matter what it is. It'll create it'll make the name of the file be that. Now we modified the script a little bit to have it also include the original global ID and concatenate that with the file name. And I'll show you later why we added that and where we're going to need that. So once we had that script downloaded, it wasn't too difficult to get this to work, but it's a little bit time consuming. So we took that script, we created a script tool. There's a couple of these, a few of the screen captures on the bottom left of what you had to do to make the script tool. It wasn't very hard. The instructions are there with the script. And then we were ready to go. So step one in what we had to do was to create the script tool, and then you have to create a folder, and typically you want to do that locally on your computer you're working on because you are going to be copying, you can copy some pretty significant file sizes and numbers of pictures depending on how many attachments you have. And you want to create a temporary file geodatabase in that folder because you're going to be creating some temporary tables later on in the process that it just ran better running locally than trying to go across the network. So then we created our new database, our new feature data class in our SDE. We created the feature classes that we wanted, and we loaded all the original data into it, minus the attachments. So once we had that, you go into ArcMap, and you would load in, you have to add in, you want to add your original data. Now, we started this and we almost screwed up our database because you have to add some fields into it, and we almost didn't make a copy and just use the copy then. We were almost going to do this on our live data set. So you need to also make a copy of your data set that you're going to be working with and save it locally as well, and everything will run much quicker. So you want to add a copy of just one feature class at a time, take the feature class, put it into ArcMap, and a lot of these all of our feature classes did not have a unique field other than global ID, and we couldn't use that to link later on, so we had to create our own unique field. For these, we mostly used just a concatenation of lat long, but if you have anything in your data, you know, whatever is going to work as a unique field for that data, you can use it. It doesn't really matter. Then we added a field called the original global ID as 100. char 100, and then we would calculate that field and basically make it be the global ID as a text field. And then you have to turn off the original global ID in your table for the next couple of steps. When you have to join some data, and you need that original global ID turned off. So then you have to add a copy of your original feature class attachment table into ArcMap, and you add your new 3D feature class as well into ArcMap. And in there, you have to create the same unique ID field. If you had done it before, you created the 3D data, then it should be in there already. If not, we hadn't done that. We had to create the same field in there. And then we created a field called Old Global ID. Again, that was the field that was going to hold the original global ID data from our original 2D data set. So once we had that created, you joined the two data sets together on that unique field that you created, and you calculated your old global ID field from your original global ID field from your 2D data set. So then you remove your join, and now you have your new global ID in your 3D data set, and you have your old global ID in there as well for linking. So there you get happy. You say a few less words. Now here's where you run that script that we had downloaded. And so when you create the tool, it asks for two parameters, which are your attachment table and your output location, as you can see in the picture there. So you in this situation, you choose your original 2D data feature class or feature class attachment table, and pick your folder that you created on your local drive. So when the script runs, it's going to go through the attachment table, grab the name of the attachment, concatenate the global ID on it, and output the file to this folder that you make. Then in ArcMap, there is a tool under all the attachments toolbox for our generate attachments match table. So for this, we would run it, you'd pick your original 2D feature class, you would choose the folder that you created where you just exported all your attachments to as your input folder. And here you would create a table in that file geodatabase that you made in your local folder. And we would just name them all, the name of the feature class, and then attach and original. That way we knew, just to keep track of things and know exactly what they were. And the key field on here is your global ID field. So this tool, it creates another table that you have which contains your global ID from your original data, and it puts it into the geodatabase, and you'll see it a little later on here. So now you have to go into that geodatabase that you created, and you need to create a table in there, and we called these ones just the feature class name and then underscore attach. And here you would import your table structure from the match table you had just done in the previous step. And you would load in your data from that table from the previous step as well. And then you would add a field here, and we called it GLID for global ID, and you would calculate the value in there. So you can see on the picture on there, that is the data from the generate match table that we got. So it has the original global ID and then the name of the attachment. So for this, the global IDs are all 38 characters long, so it worked out really nice. You could just use, to calculate the field, the left from the file name field and take the first 38 characters. So now in that attachment table, this is going to be your table you're going to use in the next step. To add your attachments, you have the global ID, and then you have the file name field as well. And then in the attachments toolbox, there's another tool called generate attachment. Oh, this is the attachment match table. So for this one, this should just be add attachments. So that's a mistake I have up there. This is called the add attachments tool. So for this one, you are basically taking your generate attachment match table, you're linking it to your new 3D data table, and you're assigning your attachments to it based on the global ID again. So here your inputs are your new 3D featured data set. Your join field is the old global ID field that you added in step 1, which is just a character field now, and has the original global ID from your 2D data set. Your match table is the one we just populated in with the actual global ID out of the file name, your feature class attached. Your join field in that one is the global ID field that you made. I'm using the left function to calculate the field. Your path field is the file name, and that basically it takes your file name from your match table and assigns it to the attachment that you're putting in there. So the new attachments, they wind up having the global ID plus the original file name. That was just something we figured we could live with. We'd still, have roughly the same name. And then your working folder is the folder where all of your attachments were stored from step 2. So again, you choose that local folder. And then once that runs, you have your 3D feature class has all of your original attachments attached to it, and you're happy. There's no more swearing coming out of your office. You can quiet down and send the ticket back that it's done. You go into your 3D feature class at the end, you delete the unique field and delete the old global ID field. You don't need those anymore. And that's pretty much it. Our next step, we're converting that process into a model so that when we have other data in the future that we want to convert, we can just throw it in there and let it run. This isn't the real model. This is just one I grabbed offline and looked really crazy. I'm hoping it's not going to be that. It shouldn't be that bad to create it. And then we're going to eventually convert all of our data over where we need it to be 3D data. So that's the whole process. If you have any questions, I'm glad to take them. Yes?